how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Temple Talk Thursdays. We meet here every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have conversations and talks about real life, what happens in a woman's life, because you know a woman's job is never done, right? And we also talk about real talk. Like I said before, we also talk about renewing our minds, renewing our spirits, and restoring our bodies. And we also have special guests that come every now and again to join us and help us in our restoration journey. So without further ado, I would like to introduce myself as well. My name is Kat Pons. I'm the restoration coach here at Restoration From Within. We work with women who want to go back to an overall healthy place for themselves personally, for their families, and most importantly, for God. So that's what we do here at Restoration From Within. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time off your busy schedule to join us and get a little bit pick me up and join me in joining forces in this restoration movement. If you're here for the first time, please let me know. Put a number 1 in the comment section below so that I can properly welcome you and greet you to the restoration movement. I also will love for you, if you're catching the replay, by all means hit the hashtag and replay, so that I can properly greet you for taking also the time to come and see me and catching the replay. Thank you so much. So before we begin, I just wanted to share with you, I'm super, super excited. Guess what I got in the mail? Dun, dun, dun. Yes, I got it in the mail. I'm so excited. Yes, so here is my copy. This is my draft copy of my book. I'm so excited, and I really I ordered the books already. They're on their way. They should be here next week. So I'm super, super excited. So here is the book. It is in my hands, y'all. I cried so much yesterday. But I was not looking proper to be on live, and I did not want my girlfriend Rochelle to tell me about myself because I was not presenting myself properly on live. But I got it yesterday, and I wanted to share with you, my chicas. I'm super excited. I got my copy. So yes, I'm celebrating. I'm excited. Yes, it's in your hands. And all my other girlfriends that have ordered your books, yours is coming next week. I'm super tracking that tracker to make sure that it gets here. So as soon as it gets here, I'm shipping it to you. And again, thank you so much for your pre-orders. For those of you who want a copy and haven't gotten your copy yet, by all means, in the comment section above of this video, you can see the link for it. It is bit.ly/restore your body, restore your temple BK. bit.ly/restore your temple BK, and you can get your copy. You can pre-order your copy. And also, if you want to join us, because you know we're gonna get a celebration going on, we get this party started. Yes, we also are going to celebrate here locally in the Charleston, South Carolina area. We're going to celebrate the book launch and my birthday celebration. Hey, Sanquinetta, thank you for joining us. I love you. Thank you so much. So on Saturday, April 7th, we're going to have a book launch and a birthday celebration for yours truly. Yes, we're going to get this party started. So we're going to have that on April 7th at Tropical Smoothie Cafe in the North Charleston area. It's off of Rivers Avenue. So I'm super excited. I would love for you to join me. I don't come up here and promote it too much because the space is limited, and I want my chicas to join me to celebrate with me. So I'm just gonna say that again. The space is limited, chicas. And so if you want to get your copy on the day of, the tickets are $25 and it includes your signed copy, a photo op, light hors d'oeuvres. You're also going to be doing a smoothie tasting. We're going to have some activities, and we're going to have a great time. And also, you're going to have your own private shopping. And my dear girlfriend, Adrienne Young, will be bringing in some bracelets as well. So you're going to do some private shopping while you're there and enjoying the celebration. And if you already have your copy of the book, the tickets is only $10 because you already pre-ordered. So it's either $25 if you want your book at the event, and $10 if you already pre-ordered your book. The registration to get your tickets is bit.ly/RFW party. bit.ly/RFW party. And I'll come back in the comment section in a few minutes once we're done, and I'll put that in there also as well. So Yeah, so that's about it. That's what I have available today. Those are my announcements. I would love for you to join me. Please join me if you want to. This is a great, it's a momentous moment, not just in my life, but in every chica's life who gets this book. I promise you, this is a whole lot of God and a little bit of me. So without further ado, let's go into our series. We're going to continue our series of Power Over Emotions through social awareness. So when we started this journey, we talked about emotional intelligence, because really the key to having power over our emotions is through emotional intelligence. The more we increase our emotional intelligence, the more we gain wisdom, and the more inclined and more in tune we are able to be to have power over our emotions. And just do a quick recap, because last week we had this phenomenal guests with us, Delon LaDuff-Gatson, and we have Leerica Richards. They have these awesome books. I would highly recommend you to get them. And we talked about power over trauma, and they shared their stories about traumatic experiences that they've had, and how they overcome it, what influenced their trauma, and also now how they use their voice to help others overcome their trauma. And that was really, really powerful. I'm telling you, I had so much feedback. I mean, personal, through my messenger, through the comment section, that this is a conversation that needs to be had. So if you haven't watched it, please catch the replay. Just go to the video section on our Facebook page, and I promise you that you will have it and it will bless you. And if you know somebody that is going through a traumatic experience and needs some encouragement or some comfort, this video is for them. So please, 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 by all means, go ahead and tag a girlfriend or share it, and watch it yourself. So because we had that, hey Mama D, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. So with that being said, let's go into a quick recap of what we've covered in Power Over Our Emotions. The first thing, like I said before, is the key to having power over your emotions is increasing your emotional intelligence. So before we go into what we're going to talk about social awareness today, let's do a quick recap on define what emotional intelligence is. And emotional intelligence is, and I want to say it verbatim, is the ability to recognize and understand emotions in yourself and in others, and your ability to use this awareness to manage your behavior and relationships. So you see how important emotional intelligence is, and how we can, how once we increase that, it gives us power over our emotions. And when we take the time to educate ourselves, which we're doing right now, what we're doing is we're actually watering that seed, that emotional intelligence seed. So once we do that and we put a little bit of effort and a little bit of work into it, we see the fruition in it on other critical skills, not just emotional intelligence. What it does is it's kind of like the analogy that I use is the seed is planted, right? And that's emotional intelligence. And once we water it, we make sure we till that land. We make sure that we nourish that soil. And once it starts to grow, it grows into a strong tree. When we have learned about emotional intelligence and effectively applied it in our lives, so then we see the fruits of it. And those fruits of it, when we see it in the branches. Hey Cynthia, how you doing? When we see it in the branches, and we could pick up those seeds, and people could see that fruit, and we can see that fruit within ourselves, and to include the fruits of the Spirit, which is in Galatians, right? This is part of all that. You know, I know I'm talking about a lot of medical terminology, a lot of practicable stuff, but this is also connected. Remember, everything is connected. Your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul is all connected. And right now we're talking about things that have to do with the soul, right? Renewing our mind, and also renewing our emotions, how we handle that. So once we see the fruits of the Spirit up there, we see self-control. We also going to see some applicable things that can be tangible, anger management, time management. Who would think that emotions are attached to time management? Better decision making. We can show maturity in handling situations, tough situations. You know, we don't let our emotions react to those things, but we actually respond to these tough situations. So those are some things, some critical skills and fruits that we see when we water and nourish or increase our emotional intelligence. So now, with that being said, let's go into the seed. That seed is made up of 4 components, right? We've covered 2 already. And those 2 are the foundation for personal perception, right? Or personal competence. So when you're competent, that means that you are inclined and you're also willing, and that you've also taken the time to gain understanding. You know, when God says, you know, in all that ways get wisdom, right? But also get understanding, because if you just gain knowledge and wisdom but don't apply it, then that means you haven't had no understanding. You don't know the true root to it. So that's why we're getting into knowing what the seed of emotional intelligence is comprised of. So with that, the seed of intelligence is comprised of 4 things. And we covered already our personal competence, right? So before we begin on taking care of anybody else, you see how it happens even in our walk with Christ, or even in our health walk. We need to take care of ourselves before we're able to take care of anybody else. So look at that. That's just a cycle of everything that we cover when it comes to restoring your temple. You first need to take care of yourself before you take care of others. And once you become personally competent, those areas that we covered, we talked about self-awareness and self-management. So what does that mean? Self-awareness and self-management. We increased our personal competence by being aware of how we are, how we react, right? By knowing that our emotions and our physical state, our body, is connected with each other. One example that we covered is being aware of the triggers before your emotions can take over you, right? And those triggers could be when we emotionally start to get agitated, or our stomach starts tightening up, or, you know, there's a shift in our bodies and we can feel it. That's a trigger to let us know that our emotions are trying to overpower our thought process. Because remember, we talked about that when we feel these things, or we start getting agitated, it sends signals through our body to the back of our spine, and then it goes through the limbic system before it goes to the frontal system. The frontal system is where we think, the process where, you know, how we thought, we process everything. And then the limbic system is what we our emotions, where we process our emotions. Hey, Lillian, thank you for joining me. Hey, Ty, thank you for joining me, sis. So before we can think about something, it has to go through the emotional process way. So that's why it's so important for us to, you know, to process it, to learn these triggers. And then after that, we talked about learning how to manage our behavior and tendencies, which goes hand in hand. Once we learn about our emotions, once we are aware of what our triggers are, or what are some tendencies that we have that are not, you know, that are not in a positive light, then we need to work on them. We need to be real with ourselves and tell us that, you know what, we're not the best thing since sliced bread. There's some things and some areas that you need to work on. And one of the ways that you can do that also with self-management of your emotions is having real people around you who will lovingly tell you the truth, especially when you're wrong. And that's how we covered that area. Now, because we build a strong foundation, we're going to go into social competence. Now we're going to go from self to looking at others, how we can be more aware of others so that we can better serve others. I think I'm going a little bit ahead of myself, but in increasing our social competence by learning how to accurately pick up emotions in others, in other people, and understand what really is going on with them. Even, let me tell you something, being socially aware is being able to do what I just defined, even when you don't agree with it. That's being socially aware. That's being socially mature in social awareness. Being aware that there's something going on with somebody else and you disagree with what they're saying, but you're still in the scene and not thinking about yourself and how to respond to that situation, but being really in tune and aware of how the other person is feeling. One of the key things that requires for you to be social aware is for you to be, and this is it's a learning process, y'all. I'm still going through this myself, is being more selfless and selfish in circumstances when it has to deal with you and connecting with others. And I just want to put a side note here, even for my introverted folks, even for people who are not, don't like social surroundings, God made us to be social beings. So either whether relational, whether with him or with, with those that he has placed around us in our sphere of influence. So these are things that you're going to have to utilize that will help you not just personally, but also professionally. Being socially aware develops that connection. Some of the benefits that I put here for being socially aware, I already talked about it. It gives you yourself a sense of maturity, right? You'll be more mature because even in tough situations that you don't agree with, you're still there and you're still focused on not yourself and how you're going to respond, but how being aware of that individual's feelings and emotions and what they're going through. Another one is to perceive what others are feeling. Ensure that you are focused. Being socially aware ensures that you're focused on the situation, and you're also taking mental notes, very critical mental notes on knowing how to respond to that situation and how to bring a positive outcome. So that's one of the things that I see. And there, the Holy Spirit just reminded me, like having that sense of being focused and critically have that critical information that you need. One thing that comes from the Bible is, a soft answer turns away wrath. That is social awareness. That is, being socially aware of yourself, being personally aware of yourself, and using it in an effective way so you can have an effective and positive outcome. Another thing here is helps you to adjust to different situations. I'm telling you, once you are socially aware and you increase in this area, man, you could feel the vibes in the room. How many times we've been in a place, hey Jill, how you doing? We've been in a place and you say, man, the atmosphere is thick in here, or it's tense. So guess what? That's a skill of knowing how to be socially aware. And once you're socially aware, you can adjust to the situation. And also, ladies, remember that we're the temperature, we're the thermostat in our households. We determine the atmosphere in our household, whether it's an 85 or a 69 or a cool 75. So let's maintain that cool 75, or at least try to. I'm here to be accountable with you. And then last but not least, when you're socially aware, this is the most important one, and I love it so much. And I even have a quote from Zig Ziglar to bring home the point. And it says that when you're emotionally and socially aware of others, what it does, it builds strong, trusting relationships. It builds strong and trusting relationships. I think that Zig Ziglar said it best. And I think this applies to all situations, but I really want to bring it home here in social awareness, because he says people don't care how much you know until you show them how much you care. Let me say that again. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this is just a basic but very powerful way for you to show others that you care, by being present, by being socially aware of what's going on, and by being more selfless and in the situation, and by being in tune and making them feel that they matter. So that's why this is so important, and that's why this is a third component, but it's also, when it comes to the social competence side of us, of this seed, is foundational. Before you can move on to social management, you got to be social competent and be aware of other people's emotions, right? So how do we do that? There's some strategies that I want to go through. Excuse me for looking down. I got this, everything that I've learned that I'm sharing with you. Hey Patricia, how you doing? Everything that I've learned and I'm sharing with you is been by the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, and also by this book. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And this book, I highly recommend it for everybody. It's not just a self-help book, but what I like it because it brings practical examples, and it also gives you a free assessment in the back. And you could do the assessment. And this is how I started this journey. I mean, really, God was like, you know what? I asked God, okay, I want to, mature in my walk. I want to walk closer to you. I want to, these are some things, what do I need to work on? In the Bible it says, test my heart, O Lord, and see what the errors of my ways. I'm quoting personally, making my own quote. So that's what I did. And he says, I want you to increase on emotional intelligence. I want you to learn more about it. And then he went ahead and told me, you know what? You need to go ahead and share it with the chicas also. And I was like, okay. So that's what I did. And this has been such a powerful journey for me because it has made me more aware of who I am, how to better effectively serve others, and be aware that, I came here just like, Jesus came here. I came here to serve others. And if I'm going to effectively serve others, like we do mothers, like we do women, we need to increase our emotional intelligence so that God can get the total glory out of the situation. So, the author. All right, Cynthia, the author is Travis Bradberry and Jean Greaves. Travis Bradberry and Jean Greaves. And if you would like, I put a link down there to invite you to thriftbooks.com. That's where I get most of my books. They're very inexpensive but they have valuable books there. And if you purchase a book if you purchase over $10 or more, the shipping is free. But I will put the link below in the comment section once the broadcast is done. But definitely, I highly encourage this book for you to get. So in every section that we talked about, the part of the components of the seed of emotional intelligence, it has like applications. What are some areas that you need to do? And it had 5 of them, 15 in each section. In this section, the ones that I want to talk about, what are some strategies of social awareness? So there's a basic one, right? And the first one, and I was like, dang, I never saw it this way, but it's kind of like when we talked about social management. There's some very simple ways for us to increase our social awareness. And that's the first one, number 1. And I think, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Oh my gosh, he's a famous motivational speaker. I can't remember his name, but he also made this point also. I remember reading it, and he also made the point that the first thing you need to do is just to get to know a person's name and remember their name the next time that you see them. Get to know a person's name. Greet people by their names, because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You're greeting people by their names. I don't know about you, but I really love when somebody greets me by my name, and it's kind of like, wow, you took the time to get to know my name. Even my real name, my entire name, and they say it correctly. I mean, that really just sets my heart up high, because they took the time to get to know my name. That in itself tells me that, hey, you know what? You really have taken the time to know my name. And my name is unique. My first name is Catheria, or in Spanish is Catiria. So, and I've heard, when I tell you I've heard from cafeteria to I've heard all sorts of things, right? So, but when somebody takes the time to genuinely get to know my name, that really gives me a sense of like, wow, I matter, It gives me a sense of, okay, you're really taking the time to get to know me and get to know who I am. Right, Patricia? You see what I'm talking about? So yes, so when you see people, greet people by their name. And I am at fault here also, because in the book it says, if you're one of those people that say, oh, I'm good with faces, but not good with names, well, you need to do better. And they gave us a tip. So let's say if you don't know the person's name, right? So I usually, if I don't know the person's name and don't know how to enunciate it, I usually have the person say it to me, and I'm really, really, really attentive of what they're saying, and I repeat it to myself, and repeat it to myself, and then repeat it back to them to make sure. And then I attach it to a thought or a memory, especially if it's a unique name. I love it. And you can also have the person write it down for you, so the next time that you see that individual again, you can greet them by their name. This established a sense of comfort. This has established a sense of trust, and it opens the door for a rapport between you and that individual. Look how simple that was, just greeting a person by their name. So that's very, very important. It says here, whatever the story is behind your name, it's an essential part of your identity. It feels so good when people use your name and remember it. And that's exactly what it is. And also, I love to hear, how I also remember, I always ask people, especially if it's a unique name. I said, "Oh, how did you get your name?" Especially unique names, because and that will help me to remind it, because I love stories. Like, what's behind that story? Why did they name you that? So that's how I remember. And like, for instance, my children, they were all names that were given, by God to my husband. He named them, and so we looked it up, and we always share that. And I have a girlfriend, my girlfriend April. She went in as far as to look for me what's the Hebrew name and the meaning of it. So that blessed me. You see how far that can go when you just greet a person by their name, and you can spark conversations and build relationships. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about, right, and this is my favorite one right here, is I'm gonna use the same terminology that they use, so that you know what I'm talking about. Is watch your body language. Okay, so social awareness is tightly knitted with body language. What am I talking about? Body language. Okay, how a person looks, how the demeanor changes. Usually when a person is like me, when a person is angry, you see their eyebrows, frown, or they're upset, or they're defensive, their hands are tightly closed. This usually 9 times out of 10 is, when you're reading a person's posture or their body language, which is also called nonverbals. This is angry. When somebody's open, that means that they're comfortable, they're okay. Or sometimes if you see somebody going like this in the street, something's about to go down, right? So that's the art of knowing somebody's body language. Read it, because at the same time, if somebody's like this in the middle of the street and you want to talk to them about something, is that the right time to talk to them? Nah, right? It's not the right time. And that's one of the other strategies. Find the right timing to talk to people. Because if somebody's at your work area and you could just, you could tell that they're having a bad day by their face, or they talk to that certain someone that they don't really like, and they're coming back from that meeting, that that's not the right time to ask them for that favor, right? That's the time to become selfless and say, "Hey, what's going on? What happened with such and such? Or are you okay? You want to talk about it?" So those are the things that bring a stronger trust and building a relationship with social awareness. Remember, we're trying to be more selfless and listen to and being in tune with other people's emotions and body language. A great show that I love, and I learned through my girlfriend. She was, at the time, she was going through detective school, technical school. She was becoming a detective and investigator in the military. And so, I was trying to get some pointers, because we know each other from being law enforcement in the military, in the Air Force. So I was like, okay, what are some pointers that I need to get? And she's like, man, she shared some things, but she says, really, just go watch this show. And I was like, okay, what's the show's name? So the show's name is called Lie to Me, right? So I watched it. So this show is a drama show. It's an American drama show about a doctor who has a private corporation, and he reads people. He's a doctor that reads people's verbals, facial expressions, and their, what is it called? Hold on, let me get the proper terminology. Their facial expressions and their involuntary body languages, right? She's like, they just have us watch that. And when I tell you, when I watched that show, it's called Lie to Me. It's an old show, but it's really good. It shows you, like, it gives a show of what's going on, but it teaches you how to read people. And then every time that they show you an expression of a person's facial expression or their body language, involuntary body language, they will show you pictures of other people. So that's another way to be more socially aware. Watch a movie or watch the show Lie to Me, or just go people watching, and you can learn how to be more in tune or sharpen your social awareness. So those are the tips that I have for you today on strategies to be socially aware. Today we covered, we did a recap of emotional intelligence, the seed, and how when we plant that seed and we nourish it and take the time to do it, we can see that fruit in certain areas, right? Just the fruit of the spirits that's in Galatians. We also can see some tangible, like time management, anger management. And also learning, and it also shows us the level of maturity in tough situations. We defined We defined social awareness, and that's pretty much being more selfless and be more aware of people's emotions and how to be in tune with them and build stronger relationships. Then we talked about some strategies. So again, we're almost done with this broadcast series, and the series is Power Over Your Emotions. And my coach, she's a fire business coach, Lavondalyn Sankitz. She has a series, and in that series they just talked about heart, taking care of our hearts. And one of the things that stood out from that series that really was in tune with what we're talking about here, because at the end of the day, that's what we're covering here, our hearts and our mind. But before our hearts can be healed, our minds need to be renewed. I'm not quoting her properly, but that's the truth. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing here. We're renewing our minds so that we can renew our hearts and renew our spirits, and at the end of the day, restore our bodies. We want to be the best that we can be so that God can fully use us and we can be equipped to pour into others, and also know how to pour into ourselves. So I hope this broadcast has helped you. Those catching the replay, thank you so much for catching the replay. My name is Kat Pons. I am the restoration coach here at Restoration From Within. I work with women who want to go back to an overall healthy place for themselves personally, for their family, and most importantly for their friends. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Ty. Thank you for all of you have watched me live here today, and thank you for all those who catch the replay. If you want to be part of the Restoration Girlfriends community, yes, community, and please go to www.restorationfromwithin.com. www.restorationfromwithin.com, and you can register for our community. And my blessing to you, you will immediately receive Renew and Restore Manifesto. And Renew and Restore Manifesto is a manifesto with 10 steps to restore from within today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but today. And also, please, 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 don't forget, if you want to restore your temple from within, are you ready to know what God says about your body? Do you want to know how to restore your temple from within? Then this is the book for you. By all means, make the investment. Make the investment. I'm telling you, self-care is not selfish at all. It's actually being caring to yourself and loving yourself. So I love y'all to life. I hope y'all have a great, great day. And thank you for joining me.